Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Jai Hind. I hope I am properly audible and visible to all of you. Good evening. So I hope all of you are doing well. I hope all of you are fine. You are all studying. This is like the last week of August. We have a few days remaining. Like today is 27th. There are 4 days remaining in this month, and after that, we have 120 days remaining in this year. So now we are going into the third quarter of this year. And in the next 8 months, I think that most of you are going for exam, most of you are going for prelims exam, and then after some time for the mains also. So how is your preparation going on? How is your preparation going on in these months? I am quite good. Now some beard has also come up. Some hair is also coming up. Maybe after 1 week I will remove the cap. So that is one change. Strategy for next exam of UPSC. There is only one thing which you have to do. Like there are 4 subjects: polity, geography, science and tech, and economy. If you combine these 4 subjects, you are getting questions around 55 questions. Out of these 55 questions, even if you are able to solve 42 questions, then you are in very good stage. So there are 4 subjects on which you can focus. Okay. There are 4 subjects on which you can focus first for prelims, that is polity, geography, economy, and science and technology. Once you have done these 4 parts, you can be sure about minimum of 40 questions, a minimum of 40 questions. And then in the remaining 45 questions, you will be able to solve minimum, in worst case, in minimum, you will be able to solve 10 questions from current affairs. You will be able to solve 10 questions from current affairs. Then you have history also, then you have environment also, then you have art and culture also, and other portions. So if you look at 4 subjects, it is going to be good. Good evening. So that is one thing which I will suggest. Focus on these 4 subjects for prelims. And for mains part, just do this one thing. For mains part, make theme wise notes, and that will be sufficient. So if you have not been able to clear for 2020, I will come to each of the question. If we are talking about 2027 examination, right now you can focus on building your basics from NCRTs, and you have so much time that you can improve your foundation. You can improve your foundation. You can improve your skills in all the subjects. You can practice a lot for mains exam. Now, those who could not clear in 2025, try to assess yourself that in which subject you could have done better, but still due to one thing or other, you were not able to do that. So try to analyze yourself. Third question is how to make notes of current affairs with respect to GS subjects. See, this is one thing which I have told many a times. In fact, you will find that there is a separate video also for this one part, that how to make notes from current affairs. But in short, in simple, just keep one thing in mind. For prelims, you can make month wise. Okay. Later on, if you are making it on loose sheets, you can segregate it also later on. For mains, try to identify the themes and try to write accordingly. Okay. So this is one part. Let's start with our discussion. The topics which we are going to discuss in today's session, one is about governor's inaction and Supreme Court's review power. So this is one topic which we are going to discuss. Okay. Second thing is about tariff regime. From today onwards, 50% tariff is supposed to be applicable on Indian products. Then we are going to see about this one education survey, which is giving us a detail of private versus public school. Private versus public school. Then there is also one thing, a new institution has been created in environment, and this is going to be a very important topic for environment. This is going to be one of the very important topic for environment. A new institution has been created. We will see what this institution is all about and what it is going to do. Then we will see this one thing, the one type of coconut which is going to get GI tag in future. Okay. So this is one part which we are going to look into. Answer writing daily kitna likhna hai? At least 2 or 3 answers from GS and 1 or 2 answers from optional. I think you have been preparing for some time, so you have completed your foundation, you have done with the subject reading part. Now you have the time of self-study only. All those people who have completed foundation, you should give 1 hour per day for the writing part. 3 questions from GS, 2 questions from optional. Minimum this much you should be writing on daily basis. Okay. If you are there in Adhyan batch, then you can skip notes making from here. You can just see the topics. Now, let's come to this part. Some questions. Both India and Japan are members of Quad. Both India and Japan are members of Asian Development Bank. Both India and Japan are members of New Development Bank. Both India and Japan are members of Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. So, how many statements are correct? How many statements are correct? That is the question. Okay, Rahul, I will ask about this from the team. So here we have this one question. Consider the following statements. First one is saying, both India and Japan are members of Quad. Both India and Japan are members of Asian Development Bank. Both India and Japan are members of New Development Bank. And both India and Japan are members of Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. So what will be the correct answer? So this is something which you can solve on the basis of your knowledge of geopolitics also. B option, C option, B option. Okay. So if you look at this, India and Japan are members of Quad. This one is correct. India and Japan are members of Asian Development Bank. This one is also correct. India and Japan are members of New Development Bank. That is incorrect. New Development belongs to BRICS. So here Japan is not a member. Both India and Japan are members of Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. So here also Japan is not a member. This is one such investment bank dominated by China. So here Japan is not a member. So here the answer will be B option, only 2. There can be restriction on the freedom of speech and expression on the ground of a speech against the policies of government, a speech which endangers the security of India, a speech which defames a person, a show which criticizes the policy of the government. So how many of them are correct? Here we have the second question. There can be restriction on the freedom of speech and expression on the ground of what? Question number 2. A option, B option, B option. Okay. D, A option. A speech against the policies of government. This one is like not correct. On this ground, you cannot restrict the freedom of speech. A speech which endangers the security of India, yes. A speech which defames a person, yes. A show which criticizes the policy of government, no. So there will be two grounds on which there can be a restriction on freedom of speech and expression. Last day we have seen certain exceptions. So defamation was also one part of it. So freedom of speech and expression cannot be used for defaming anyone. Okay. So here the answer is B option. How many of the following are located in South Pacific Ocean? New Caledonia, Fiji Islands, Diego Garcia and Chagos Islands. So how many of them are located in South Pacific? Those who have been continuously attending the sessions, I think you know about all these 4 islands. Okay, I will come to that part. I will come to that part. Simar Kashyap, see, if you want to start with UPSC preparation, do one thing. You can start with some basic NCRTs. Then first go through the syllabus of UPSC, go through NCRTs, then you can watch current affairs simultaneously with it. At the same time, you should also see the previous year questions of prelims and mains also. So B option. I think all of those who have gone through this previous sessions, you can identify New Caledonia. It was there with respect to French. It was with respect to French. It was there in South Pacific Ocean. Fiji Island, we have seen it. Diego Garcia and Chagos Island, they are part of Indian Ocean. They are part of Indian Ocean. So here the answer is B option. The question 2 was saying that in the case of India, there can be restriction on the freedom of speech and expression on what ground? If there is a speech which is going against the policies of government, can we restrict the freedom of speech and expression? The answer is no. If there is a speech which is endangering the security, so can we curtail the right to freedom of speech and expression? Answer is yes. A speech which defames a person, defamation is not allowed. So here again, restriction can be there. Third part, a show which criticizes the policy of government. For this purpose, that the show is criticizing the policies of government, we cannot stop that show. Okay. So that's why in these two cases, there can be restriction on freedom of expression. Okay. Now, how many of the following have officially become members of International Big Cat Alliance? India, China, Bangladesh, Somalia, Nepal. So here we have this one question. How many of the following have officially become members of International Big Cat Alliance? We have option India, China, Bangladesh, Somalia, Nepal. Only 2, only 3, only 4, all 5. India, China, Bangladesh, Somalia, Nepal. C option. Now here there is one thing which I want to highlight. If you look at this, Nepal has become, Somalia is there, India is there. China, it is not there. Now when we talk about the Bangladesh, here is this one thing. It was one of the founding members. It was one of the founding members. It was one of the founding members. But what we see that it has not ratified, it has not ratified the treaty. It has not ratified the treaty, and hence what we see that Bangladesh as of now is not an official member of International Big Cat Alliance. So that's why we see that here the answer will be only 3. Okay. So answer here will be option number B, that is only 3. So while Bangladesh was one of the founding members, it has not ratified it, hence it is not an official member of International Big Cat Alliance. Okay. So the answer here is option number B. So I hope these questions are clear. Any doubt to anyone in these questions? Okay. So now we are coming to this one part. Okay. Like, you know that the presidential reference is going on. The presidential reference is going on, and in that context itself, now there has been some questions which has been asked by judiciary. Okay. So this is one thing, like what questions are there, that the governor is given discretionary power. Governor is having discretionary power under Article 356. Under Article 356. Okay. Now see here, when we are talking about the presidential reference, there is one thing which is being asked to the Supreme Court. There is a question. The question is, can Supreme Court review the discretionary judgment or discretionary power of governor? This is one of the question, that can the Supreme Court review the discretionary power of governor? So here now Supreme Court is saying this, that there is this one such thing, Article 356. Now this Article 356 provides for imposition of precedent rule. This is providing for imposition of precedent rule. Now this is on advice of, this is done on advice of governor. It is done on the basis of advice of governor. So now there is one part here. There is one very important part here, that Supreme Court, what we see that Supreme Court, it can review imposition of precedent's rule on malified ground. Like, if there is not such proper ground, if there is absence of a proper ground, so on the basis of that, Supreme Court is having the power to review the imposition of precedent rule. So now Supreme Court is saying that in the case of SR Bommai case, it has been established that Supreme Court can review the press rule even if it comes under discretionary power. Even if it comes under the discretionary power. Okay. And this Article 200, it is providing for the approval by the governor for the bills. This is saying that there is going to be approval by governor for legislations. So now many people are saying that withholding a legislation or not giving assent to a legislation comes under the discretionary power of the governor, and discretionary power cannot be reviewed by the judiciary. So here judiciary is saying that just refer to SR Bommai case. In SR Bommai case, it has been established that proclamation of president rule can be reviewed by the judges, by the judge, by the court, if it is motivated, okay, if it is motivated by malafide reasons, means due to wrong intent. So here we see that Supreme Court is saying that if we have established it earlier in SR Bommai case itself, so why there is a question if the governor's action can be reviewed by judiciary or not. So right now a huge tussle is going on. A huge tussle is going on between judiciary and the other organs. There is a presidential reference which has been put forward towards judiciary. So now there is a daily such article which is coming up with multiple such observations of the Supreme Court. Okay. So in that light itself, here we have this one thing. I hope you all remember what is this RN Ravi case. I hope you remember what is this RN Ravi case. Can you tell me what is the significance of RN Ravi case? What is the significance of RN Ravi case? Anyone? Tamil Nadu, yes, it is of course related to Tamil Nadu. RN Ravi is Tamil Nadu's governor. So we have seen that in the RN Ravi case, there was judgment by the Supreme Court, and this has prescribed the timeline. Okay. This has prescribed the timeline. This RN Ravi case, in here we see that Supreme Court, it has provided for a timeline for approval or rejection of a bill. So in fact, what it is doing, this one is in fact curtailing. This was in fact curtailing indefinite. This is curtailing the indefinite pocket veto. The indefinite pocket veto of the governor. So this RN Ravi case is in fact curtailing the indefinite pocket veto of the governor. Okay. So that was one such case, RN Ravi case. We have discussed this in our previous classes also. Here the Supreme Court said that the governor cannot hold a bill for indefinite time. They have to approve the bills in a maximum of 3 months. And if the bill has been returned back, it has been passed again by the legislature, then it has to be passed, it has to be approved within 1 month. So there is a timeline of 3 months and 1 month. There is a timeline of 1 to 3 months for approval or rejection of the bill. So that is curtailing the indefinite pocket veto of the governor. So that is one thing which we see in case of this the governor's inaction, the presidential reference and all other things. So that is our first topic. Okay. Now, second topic is about the tariff regime. Okay. So I think you are all having knowledge about this. Just a context of the story. Okay. What is the context? First of all, US, it has imposed 25% tariff on India. Okay. First of all, what we see that there was imposition of 25% tariff. Okay. So this is something which is applicable from 7th of August. Okay. This is something like there is inclusion, okay, of 25% tariff on India from 7th of August. Okay. Why this tariff was there? US is of the opinion that India is imposing huge tariff on US goods. So hence they are also imposing tariffs on Indian goods. Okay. So there was a region. What was the region? No trade deal plus allegation that India imposes huge tariff on US products. So that is one part. That here earlier there was imposition of a 25% tariff. Then what we see that there was additional, the second case was additional 25% tariff. There was this additional 25% tariff. Now the question is why? What is the reason here? Reason is US alleges that India is supporting Russia's attack on Ukraine by purchasing crude oil from Russia. So this is one thing which has been, this is one such thing which has been said by the US president, and that's why now it is there that from 27th of August, India is going to have a 50% tariff. India is going to have a 50% tariff. Now what we see here that there is going to be some loss to the Indian firms. There is going to be some loss to the Indian firms. It has been estimated that there is going to be impact on 55% of Indian export. 55% of Indian export can become uncompetitive. Okay. Like here we see that 55% of our export to US will become uncompetitive. So this is one part. 55% of India's export to US is going to become uncompetitive. And what are the sectors which are largely going to be affected? The sectors are, like if we look at the sectors, here we see that there are apparels, there is textile, gems, okay. There is gems and jewelries, shrimp, carpet, etc. Okay. So these are the areas which are going to be most impacted due to this tariff regime. Okay. So this is one such part. Like when we talk about India's export to US, like there are top 3 India's export destination. One of them is US, one of them is European Union, and then we have other countries like West Asia and all. So it is among the top 2 major export destination of India. So this is going to have a significant impact on the Indian exporters of these sectors. Okay. It is going to have some impact on the exporters of these products. So that is one part. Now the thing is, you can see this year there was also a question on this part. Okay. There was a question also on this part. Like, see this one thing. What are the challenges before the Indian economy when world is moving away from free trade and multilateralism to protectionism and bilateralism? How can these challenges be met? So this was in fact one of the question in UPSC mains this year, that as the world is moving from free trade and multilateralism to protectionism and bilateralism. So what are the challenges due to this? Okay. So can you write this answer? Like, I am giving this one task to you today. I am giving this one task to you today. Write the answer for this. Add the answer in the comment box. And tomorrow we are going to discuss this question. Like, it will be the first topic of discussion. So can you try to write this one answer by yourself? This is one thing which you have to do by yourself. Try to write this answer first. And tomorrow, in tomorrow's session, we will discuss this one question in the first part of the class itself. Okay. So write this answer, and then tomorrow we are going to discuss this one part. Okay. So this is one task for you. This is one homework. Okay. This is something your homework for you. Okay. This is the homework, you have to do it. So try to write this answer. Now, coming to the third part. And it is quite important topic. The private versus public school, and at the same time, how much cost difference is there in case of private versus public school. So we are going to see this one by one. Yeah. So let's see this one thing. The first thing, it is saying that government school accounts for 55.9% of total enrollments. It means near about 56% students, they are there in like public school or government schools. So that is one thing which we can see, that 56% students, they are there in public school. Now this article is talking about how much fee, how much money the students are paying up in various schools across the private schools and public schools. But before talking about that one thing, okay, we are also going to discuss this one part. What we see that almost 1/3 or 27% of school going children are also going for private coaching. So it is not that they are preparing for competitive exams or other thing. What we see that near about one third or 27% children who are going to school, they are taking some private coaching. Okay. They are taking some private coaching. At the same time, what we see that in rural areas, what we see that the major enrollment, when we talk about rural areas, here we see that 66% enrollment in government school. In rural areas, there is 66% students who are enrolled in government schools. Okay. Now, what we see that at the same time in urban areas, it is half. When we talk about urban areas, it is 31.1% enrollment. So, in case of urban areas, we see that enrollment in government school is decreasing. Okay. So, we will examine the reasons of it later on. First, see the other part also. Okay. What we see that how much money they are paying, like how much money they are paying, like annual expenditure. The annual expenditure on education. So, can you tell me what is the annual expenditure for education for school going students? Okay. Like average per student expenditure in education these days. Average per student expenditure. Okay. Average per student expenditure in case of India yearly. How much expenditure is there? So here, as per this survey, in the government schools, when we are talking about government schools, this is rupees 2,863. This is per year. It is around 2,863 per year. When we talk about private schools, this number goes up as high as more than 25,000 rupees. Okay. It is 25,002 rupees per year. It is 25,000 rupees per year. So there is this like almost 10 times increase as compared to rural schools, as compared to private schools. We see that there is a 10% increase, and majority of this is going for course fee. Majority of this is going for course fee. Okay. So now the thing is, why we are having, now we are coming to this one part, why we are having so much shift, why we are having so much shift to private schools in urban areas. Okay. Why there is so much shift to the government school in urban areas. So that is one thing which we can see here. So can you tell me why preference to private schools in urban areas? Why there is a preference? Quality of education, environment, ambience, okay, and so which one is having more money, government or private schools? The owners of private schools versus government, who is having more money, who is having more budget? So we know that there are a number of factors like quality education, learning environment, okay, plus at the same time increasing the increasing income profile of parents. In the urban areas, people are generally having more and more income. So that is also one part. Plus societal pressure. Societal pressure. Okay. But in all these scenarios, this is one of the major thing. This is one of the major challenge. We see that there are certain government schools in some of the states which have been outperforming the private schools. Like Delhi government schools have proved that they can be much more better. Their students can secure much more higher results. They can have better results as compared to the private schools. So Delhi government schools have proven this part, that if there is a proper focus, if there is a proper attention, their performance can be much more better as compared to private schools. Okay. So this is one part. Second thing is, we also see in urban areas, now what you see that schools, generally the parents are looking for 360-degree personality development as compared to traditional learning. As compared to this traditional learning, they are focusing on 360-degree personality development. Okay. So this is one part. Okay. Now to see your fee for UPSC preparation is lower than the annual fee of the students. Okay. And it's not just about yours. You will find that nowadays there are many schools, and I'm not talking about metro cities. I am talking about the schools in tier 2, tier 3 cities. In many of tier 2, tier 3 cities, the fee of schools for nursery, pre-nursery levels or class 1, class 2 levels of private schools, the annual fee may be much more higher than the offline fee for UPSC exam at KGS. Okay. So that is also one part. If you look at their annual fee, how much they are charging in name of sometimes development fee, sometimes in name of this or that, like there are so many things which goes on, and for that they are charging up to like 1 lakh rupees per year, sometimes even more than that. And when we talk about the metro cities, there the monthly fee can be like 20,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees per month. So education in India is becoming more and more costly. Like school education is one thing where there is a need of more and more focus. There is a need of more and more focus on school education. But we see that this is one part which is largely missing. Yeah. So that is one thing. One day I will make a school. Yeah. One day I will make one school. Yeah. And then I will not teach UPSC students. Then I will stop teaching UPSC students, only school, because don't have to work that much. There is simple thing, 2 or 3 things. If you know that, it will be quite simple. You don't have to see the newspapers on daily basis. So there is a lot of benefit in that. Okay. So if you want to start with nursery class, that will be one option. Why private school charge more rupees? Profit motive. It is simply profit motive. हमारे बच्चों को भेजेंगे. I thought you will be the first students to come there. देखो, now you have a benefit. Now if you are going to nursery class again, you will get top marks in every exam. If you start going in school again, suppose you are reading in class 1, you will not have to worry about exam at all. You will top in all the exams. So I thought you will be the first. You will be the first students in those schools. Okay. So let's talk about carbon market. Okay. 100 by 100 marks. Okay. So that is good. Like, although there is one part which is challenging there. You have to memorize a number of poems, you have to memorize a number of tables. So that is something which will still remain difficult. As you go in class 5, 6, maybe you will get only 95 out of 100. So now let's come to this one part, carbon market. Okay. So what exactly is carbon market? A market where there is selling and purchase of carbon certificate. Okay. So carbon market is basically a market for sell and purchase of carbon certificate. Sell and purchase of carbon certificate. Okay. So here, in this case, there will be sell and purchase of carbon certificate. Now, this is something which has been mandated by Article 6 of Paris Agreement. Of Paris Agreement. So now this has been set up. So what exactly is carbon certificate? This is basically a certificate earned on reduction of carbon emissions. This is something which is going to be earned on reduction of carbon emission. So if a company has reduced some carbon emissions, so then they are going to get a certificate. So that certificate can be traded, sold or purchased. Now, why would someone sell or why would someone purchase the carbon certificate? Why anyone would sell or purchase? So reason behind this, why sell or purchase? Why anyone is going to sell or purchase this carbon certificate? The reason here is the emission reduction target. Emission reduction target. Let's example, there are two companies X and Y. They have been given a target that this company have to reduce 10 tons of CO2, and this one has been given a target 15 tons of CO2. 15 tons of CO2. Now this X company, this has got actual removal. This has got actual removal of, let's say, 13 ton. It has got actual removal of 13 ton, whereas this company has got removal of 12 ton. So it is having plus 3, it is having minus 3. So for these 13 tons, let's say it has got certificate. Okay. It has got carbon certificate. It has got carbon certificate. It has got total 13 carbon certificate. This one has got 12 carbon certificate. Now this 3 extra, here this company is having plus 3, they can sell it. They can sell it to the Y company. Okay. So this is how the carbon market is going to be operated. This is how it is going to be operated. Now, in order to operate this, a new agency has been created in India. The name, what we see that for carbon market, for this carbon market, we have got a new authority. A new authority. Why? It will regulate the carbon market. It is going to regulate carbon market. And the name of this authority is National Designated Authority. National Designated Authority. The name of this authority is National Designated Authority. Okay. So this is one thing. Now, if you look at this, okay, it is having the name NDA. Okay. So it is going to be a 21-member committee headed by Secretary of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Okay. So this is going to be a 21-member committee. A 21-member committee. And this is going to be headed by Secretary of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Okay. So a new authority has been created for this very purpose of carbon market. I hope this one is clear, that what is National Designated Authority and for what purpose it has been created. Okay. Any doubt in this? Any doubt, any confusion? So these are the 4 articles which we are covering for today. The one article which is remaining, that is Kuti Adi Coconut, that is something which we will see in tomorrow's session. But do one thing, write the answer for this question. I will ask you again. Tomorrow I am going to ask you this question. So this is one question which you have to practice. In tomorrow's session, we will first discuss this question and then we will discuss other things. Okay. So one coconut topic, we will see that tomorrow, and this one also. Okay. So thank you so much everyone. Take care and all the best. Thank you.